Hello, I'm Brian Patrick. Welcome to Fifth Third Business Beat for Friday, July 17th, 2009. On page one of the Business Courier, Hamilton County is in a financial bind. The county won't have enough money to fund next year's annual property tax rollback that was promised as part of the stadium tax vote in 1996. Most years, the property tax rollback costs about $18 million and brings homeowners a roughly 3.5% discount on their annual property tax bills. To accomplish the rollback, county commissioners must certify that funding is available and transfer money equal to 30% of the prior year's stadium tax collections. Sales tax collections were way down this year. Hamilton County Auditor Dusty Rhodes has long predicted that stadium costs alone would eventually force the end of the property tax discount.
The problem with this is when they passed the sales tax levy in 96, 97, they promised 2 stadiums and a property tax rollback. The minute they started getting the money, you got mission creep. And then all of a sudden, what was going to be 2 stadiums on the riverfront that were going to jumpstart private development turned into a government-supported, I don't know what.
Rhodes says the current county commissioners made a bad situation worse when they invested county money in the bank's riverfront development project. Well, there's a new man in charge of Cincinnati's low-income housing agency. He is vowing to change the way things are done. Arnold Barnett recently opened his term as chairman of the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority. The Green Township resident and activist Republican's first order of business was to form a subcommittee of the board dedicated to enforcement.
I said, there's a new sheriff in town. I understand people that get themselves in a hole. I don't understand people who are lazy, who won't work, who want to live on the system. And frankly, if they want to live on the system, I'm going to try and see that that doesn't happen for the rest of their lives. If they want to, they go someplace else.
Barnett was appointed to the CMHA board in 2003. Since then, he's called for the deconcentration of low-income housing in West Side neighborhoods. He's also advocated reforms that would give CMHA residents incentives for working full-time or taking part in job training. 14 former executives of Milacron are objecting to a $175 million bankruptcy court-approved sale of its assets. They filed a motion for reconsideration in U.S. bankruptcy court. The 14 have unsecured claims totaling more than $46 million. They argue the sale agreement approved last month failed to adequately accommodate unsecured creditors and that Milacron's assets could be sold for more than $400 million if they were broken up and sold on a business-by-business basis. Milacron's Simcool Industrial Fluids business in Oakley has been consistently profitable on sales that reached $126 million last year. The president of a local business expects a new program offered by the Gehring Center will help her write a new growth plan for her company. Tara Halpin is the 4th generation to run the family-owned Steinhauser Incorporated. The company makes product labels and flexible packaging for other companies. She's benefited from the Gehring Center programs in the past. A week after being named president and succeeding her father in the job, her dad was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer and he died the following year.
We became members of the Gehring Center in 2005 when we went through the Next Generation Institute. It was a very critical time because we were going through the sickness of our father, and they were very helpful to us, helping us figure out how to do the succession plan because he was not available to really help us through that process.
Halpin is now involved with the Gehring Center. She serves on its advisory board, takes part in its roundtable program, and speaks on succession planning issues for the Gehring Center. A story by Dan Monk in this week's Business Courier looks at how much federal stimulus money Cincinnati and Cleveland are getting. Dan, it looks like Cleveland's coming out way ahead on this one.
Yeah, they're ahead of us by probably a 2 to 3 times margin, and that depends on what data source you look at.
Now, how did you measure the influx of this money?
We looked at it in 3 ways. The governor recently posted some data on his website that measures the total number of allocations awarded to each county in Ohio, and you can click on the county and get details for whatever county it is. Cuyahoga had $300 million, and Hamilton County had about $125 million in that bit of data. And then we also looked at contracts that are available through recovery.org. There's so many of these sites that track information, but Onvia Corp has a site called recovery.org, and you can get on there and look for stimulus contracts. And That one shows the Cleveland area has about $800 million in contracts available compared to $259 million for the Cincinnati area. Then there's one other data source that tracks federal spending, and there's a way that you can get on there and track county by county how much stimulus money has been spent to date, and Cleveland's also way ahead in that data source, which is usaspending.gov.
Now, overall population, we're pretty comparable, the two metro areas. Why do you think there's such a disparity when it comes to the stimulus money going more to Cleveland?
It's probably some combination of politics, demographics, and a single project that really got a lot of money. It was a Cleveland bridge that was deteriorating, and it's the highway bridge that leads into Cleveland on Interstate 90, and it's in such bad shape that last year the state closed it to truck traffic, so there are some concerns about the state of deterioration of that bridge, and that got $87 million. It's a $400 million project, and it's going to be repaired using $87 million in stimulus money, so that really skewed the numbers for transportation dollar awards. But in other categories, data is driving a lot of these decisions. The funding is based on formulas that takes into account statistics on poverty, the total population, unemployment rates, and Cleveland has higher poverty rates than Cincinnati, so they got a lot more formula funding.
So is the money actually coming into Ohio, or is this more on paper at this point?
Well, it is actually coming into Ohio. It's kind of slow to get to the streets. But there are some examples of stimulus money actually, being spent. Blue Ash recently awarded a $700,000 contract for a repaving project, and the Kentucky Department of Transportation is close to awarding a $6.6 million contract for the repaving of 12th Street. And so the money is getting out there, but it's clearly not happening as quickly as critics would like it to. A guy from Cuyahoga County, the county administrator there, told me out of the $300 million that Cuyahoga was awarded, they've only spent $1.6 million.
So what did Hamilton County leaders tell you about this disparity?
Well, they're happy to get the money. They didn't really, I think they understand the reasons for the disparity, and they're just grateful in this tight budget year that they have an extra funding source. As the budget director from Hamilton County told me, I don't want to kick the horse that brought the mail.
All right. Thanks, Dan Monk. Read Dan's story on page 3 of this week's Business Courier. Here's the Courier Greater Cincinnati Stock Index. We track the performance of about 40 local stocks compared with the broader market using the Dow Jones Wilshire 5000 Index. Stocks didn't move much last week. The local index inched down about 1%, while the overall market eked out a gain of less than 1%.
Watch Fifth Third Business Beat Fridays at 7:30 p.m. on CET or online anytime at cetconnect.org.
The Business Courier, Greater Cincinnati's dominant provider of breaking business news. More than 50,000 readers each week depend on the Business Courier for information to help grow their businesses and stay ahead of the competition.